Every year, Jordan Brand will choose a colorway or a particular sneaker and really try and shove it down our throats. This year in 2024, at least from early signs, yellow ochre seems to be one of the colorways they're going to choose to really push. We've already seen the Jordan 1 yellow ochre, the Jordan 6 yellow ochre, the Jordan 13 blue gray that was originally meant to be a Jordan 13 yellow ochre, but they kind of dialed it down so you only see hints of yellow ochre on that shoe. Last year, it did seem like the Lucky Green was one of the colorways they were really pushing. We got the Jordan 2 Lucky Green, Jordan 3 Lucky Green, Jordan 1 Lucky Green, Jordan 1 Low Lucky Green, and now, even though it's 2024, they're still pushing it. Air Jordan 5 Lucky Green. This shoe is dropping on February 28th for $210. It is a woman's exclusive, so for you Bigfooters, I apologize, it's not full family sizing. Now what I did notice, usually general release Jordan 5s has been $200, and now they've sneakily increased the price, $210. Just like the Air Force Ones last year, they increased the price by, was it $5 or $10? Now they're starting to do that with Jordans as well. I don't like it. I do not like it. Now the Jordan 5 first released in 1990. It is my favorite Jordan Brand sneaker. Actually, it's my favorite sneaker ever. I just love how it looks, the shape, the aggressiveness. Yeah, everything about it, I absolutely love. Now, first impressions of this shoe. I do really like white Jordan 5s. How can you go wrong? And I do like green, but this type of green, I feel like it's a little too bright for me. I prefer green that's more like an olive green or like a very dark green. So compared to like the Jordan 4 olives, look at this. Look at this beautiful type of green. Or even the Jordan 5 olive that I just reviewed. That type of green is my favorite. I don't really love this lucky green. A little bit too bright for me. So yeah, I like this colorway, but don't love it. What I do really like is they have hints of black. So I think that works really well. They didn't go with like a super odd color. One complaint I have about the Jordan 5 olive is that orange, those hints of orange. I don't really like it. I do like how they just stuck with a pretty simple black, hints of black on this shoe. And the upper sole of the shoe, it is pretty simple, just leather upper sole. But just the touch, especially this toe box area, very soft leather. I do prefer, in a vacuum, I do prefer a leather where you can see more of that natural grain of the leather come through. And I know, Jordan Brand overall, the leather quality on pretty much all their shoes, you gotta set your expectations pretty low. But in general, I do prefer leather where you can see that natural grain more clearly. This shoe doesn't really have that as much. Not that like overly tumbled, very fake tumbled leather looking kind of leather, but more of that natural grain of leather. But this toe box area, the leather is nice. Apart from that, materials are pretty standard for a regular white Jordan 5. And you'll see the netting of the Jordan 5 that is white, and it's slightly different white compared to the rest of the leather upper sole. So it's kind of more muted, a bit duller I guess, still white, maybe an off-white, and that's the same color as the netting on the tongue. And then moving up the tongue, obviously the lace lock on the Jordan 5, that's my least favorite thing about the Jordan 5, gets in the way. I put it on when I'm talking about the shoe, but on feet, when I wear it casually, I never have the lace locks. And this lace lock, it is a kind of bluish transparent lace lock with the Jumpman on the lace lock instead of Nike. And something I forgot to mention on my review of the Jordan 5 Olive, that lace lock actually came with Nike in 2006 when that shoe first dropped, came with a Jumpman. So for whatever reason, the Olive for this year, it's gonna have a Nike on the lace lock. I don't know why, but yeah, there you go. And at the top of the tongue, you'll see a black tongue this time instead of what we see a lot of times where it's that silver 3M reflective material. This one is black, and the tongue on this one actually feels pretty soft. On some Jordan 5s, because of that material, the tongue can feel super stiff, really digs into your ankles. But for this one, no problems at all. And now behind the tongue, you'll see an upside down Air Jordan tag, and that began on the Jordan 4s. And they started doing that because back in the late 80s, people would wear their tongues like flipped down, like flipped. So they anticipated that, so they went with an upside down Air Jordan. So when people flipped it, it would be the right side up. I'm not exactly too sure when and why Jordan Brand chooses to make an upside down Air Jordan on certain Jordan 5s. This shoe is upside down, the Jordan 5 Dunk on Mars, upside down, the Jordan 5 Olives that I just reviewed, not upside down. So there you go. And moving on to the booty of the shoe, just like the lace lock, you get a Jumpman here as well, not Nike Air branding, not an OG colorway. Generally non-OG colorways gets a Jumpman instead of Nike Air. But what's pretty interesting is they stuck the 23 and embroidered 23 on the heel of this shoe. Now, originally when the Jordan 5s first released, there was only one OG colorway, the Fire Red specifically, that had the 23 embroidered. The other OG colorways didn't. Every now and then they'll throw the embroidered 23 on a non-OG colorway now. I'm not sure how Jordan Brand decides that. This shoe obviously has the same color blocking as the OG Fire Reds, so maybe it's just keeping the same exact details. And every time I see a 23 embroidered on the Jordan 5, it does feel slightly more special, slightly more significant. And the Jordan 5s does come with a polyurethane midsole with a visible Nike Air unit on the heel, of course, as well as the Nike Air unit on the forefoot. Now, my favorite part about the Jordan 5 is always the shark teeth. And fun fact, this shoe was designed by Tinker Hatfield. He was inspired by a fighter jet that was made to look like a shark. So the shark teeth, intentionally very, very aggressive looking. And of course, a beautiful transparent rubber outsole. Fun fact, the Jordan 5 was the first Jordan Brand shoe to go with a clear outsole. So it kind of started a trend, and what a beautiful trend it started. And again, just like the booty of the shoe, non-OG colorway, so you get that Jordan in the middle of the cutout. OG colorways, it has a Nike instead. Now this shoe doesn't come with any extra laces, just white laces. And actually, in person, in hand, the laces is not the same color, again, as the leather upper sole. That white leather is more like that pearly, very clear white. The laces, even though it is technically white, I think, it's more of that muted, more duller white, kind of like an off-white, more similar to the netting of the shoe. In images and video, you maybe not be able to tell the difference, but yeah, up close, slightly different shade, but for all intents and purposes, just white laces. And I always do appreciate extra laces, so kind of bummed for an increased price of $210. They don't give us extra laces. Would like to see black laces on these, but yeah, one set of laces out of the box, just white. And the shoe actually comes with these cardboard tongue covers. Last time I remember this was the Jordan 5 Fire Red. Haven't seen them in a while, but this shoe has these cardboard covers. And the box of the shoe, as basic and standard as it gets, just a regular Jumpman box. Now in terms of sizing and comfort, the Jordan 5s aren't just one of my favorite shoes just to look at, but also in terms of comfort. I think for my wide feet, it fits me perfectly. Lengthwise, widthwise, I go true to size, just fits really well. It's a pretty heavy and bulky shoe, as you can expect from a shoe from the 1990s, but I personally prefer a bit of weight to my shoes anyway, so that doesn't really bother me. And my favorite thing about the Jordan 5s is this ankle area. It's just very well padded. I know there's kind of more bulkier ankle collar that comes with Jordan 5s now. A lot of people don't like that. I don't really mind it too much, but inside, the padding, just really well done. And in terms of the tech specs, very ancient, very old, polyurethane midsole, still not as heavy and clunky as a rubber cup sole that you see on the Jordan 1s, as well as like a Nike Dunk or Air Force 1. So a polyurethane midsole, 2 Nike Air units. It's ancient, it's basic. I think it still works pretty well. So whether or not you have wide feet, I do recommend just going true to size. And that brings the total sole score of the Air Jordan 5 Women's Exclusive Lucky Green to 31 out of 40. A pretty good score compared to other general releases. Now in terms of colorway, like I said at the beginning of the video, this green, slightly too bright for me. It's not my favorite. I haven't loved any of the Lucky Green shoes that have come out very recently. So it's the same with this shoe. I do like a white Jordan 5. You can't really go wrong with that. Love the accents of black. Love that look. Love how aggressive it looks. But that green, yeah, just not my favorite. Can't help it. In terms of the materials, I think it's decent, especially this toe box area. It feels nice and soft, nothing crazy. Tongue, I feel like maybe it's placebo, but I feel like it's slightly softer than a lot of like the silver 3M tongues that can come pretty stiff out of the box. So that's definitely a good thing. In terms of the comfort, like I alluded to earlier, Jordan 5s, my favorite in terms of comfort for Jordan Brand shoes. This just fits me really well. Honestly, there's no complaints. Kind of similar to the Jordan 3s, but I feel like the 5s just feels a little bit more snug, just wraps around my feet better. If you're wearing this casually, which I imagine you are, absolutely no complaints. I think this works very well. In terms of the versatility, the Jordan 5s are still a pretty athletic and bulky looking shoe, but I will say, I think it's still pretty versatile. It's a very aggressive looking shoe, and it's probably the last Jordan Brand shoe that really crosses over to like casual wear very nicely. I think starting from the Jordan 6s, starts to lean towards more and more performance-driven aesthetic. Jordan 5s, I think, still hangs on to that that casual aesthetic really well. And in terms of the colorway, majority white sneaker. It's very versatile. And then the green is still pretty wearable. It might be a little too bright for some people, but especially where I live in Boston, this green fits right in. There's no like super loud, weird colors on this shoe. So yeah, overall, a very, very wearable shoe. After quite a few sneakers that feature the Lucky Green colorway, even though it's on my favorite sneaker this time, I don't think I love it. I do like it. I think it's very clean, very simple. But yeah, I just don't love that shade of green. And that's kind of shameful because I do live in Boston. Really love the city. It is home for me now. So this green just fits right in. But instinctually, yeah, I can't get myself or force myself or fake myself to love this shade of green. It just is what it is. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Sole Inclined. Let me know what you think of the Air Jordan 5 Lucky Green. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.